messing with us? He's messing with us.
We
are live.
Nice. Buddy.
Double fist bump.
All right, guys,
Okay.
Welcome to Norwood's Global Headquarters. Thank you so much for tuning into our Facebook. For all those who were just about 10 minutes ago on our Instagram, thanks for popping over and joining us.
Yes, thank you guys.
Who do we have here? We have Trevor.
D-Rec.
And D-Rec. T-Rev and D-Rec.
T-Rev and
Trevor's
D-Rec.
our master sawyer at Norwood. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Trevor. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking your time.
Here,
hey, anytime,
you know what?
man.
Extra energy, super positive guy. Love being around him.
Trevor gave me some Twix before this, so I'm like hopped up on sugar right now.
Might not have been a good idea.
So, guys, thank you for tuning in. We are going to talk about the HD36 fully hydraulic mill today. So it's a very special show because I don't think we've ever showed the fully hydraulic, showed it working. I know you guys love to see the mills working and running. So that's primarily what we're going to do. The other thing is we are going to have our marketing team on Facebook listening and watching your questions. So please send those questions in because while we're cutting and while we're doing all this, I'm going to be monitoring that. We're going to answer your questions, okay?
Are you touching your heart because it's so close to you?
I'm like just so jazzed right now.
I love it. I love it.
So guys, we're going to talk about the HD36. We're going to run the HD36. We're going to show you some hydraulic features. We got some cool things on it. The set works.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the set works. That's going to be interesting. We haven't touched on that really very much other than to say, hey, we got it.
You're going to talk about the pendant?
Yeah, we're going to talk about how that's an add-on, why that's an add-on. This has the same controls as this. I mean, we'll get more in depth than what I'm saying here now, and you know how you can mark and set it to do whatever you want to do and change the depths and why we want to do that versus using the scale. And some find it a positive thing, some don't. It just depends on what kind of sawyer you are, whether it fits your needs. So yeah, we'll definitely talk more about that.
Cool. And then we're going to jump on over, if there's time, we're going to jump on over, and we know you guys want to see the LM29 in action. We're going to talk about some differences there, why you would go with HD36 over the LM29.
Yep.
What are some great features of the LM29 and basically what their differences are. So
yeah, and you know, again, to bring up, if you got any questions, because this is the first time we're going to kind of pull the 29 in, and we've been wanting to do this for a little while, and finally we've been able to put this together so we can present it to you. Make sure you have any questions regarding, shoot them in so we can answer them.
Okay, so why don't we start here, because I know you guys really want to see this thing in action. Trevor, you just did a cut on this this tree. We're gonna readjust it, we're gonna roll it.
Yeah.
So why don't you fire up the machine, show people how the hydraulics are working on the rolling and the clamping system.
Okay.
And then we're gonna cut it. Remember guys, send those questions in. Like I said, we have our marketing team watching and monitoring your questions. Send them in. We'll answer them as best we can, all right? We're good. So right now, Trevor's just backing off the clamping system and using our log turner to roll the log. He's going to adjust the height of his log jogs and log rests, and now he's just clamped it in. That's as easy as it gets. No handling the log. The hydraulics are doing it all for you. We're going to make a pass here. He's just lining it up and going to cut for you.
So what we want to do here, well, I'll do the cut and then I'll say why, I'll explain why I went in this way.
Now you'll notice Trevor has a pendant in his hand, so he literally can stand there. My favorite part is he could stand there with a coffee if he wanted to and run the mill and not ever put his coffee down. Look at that. Beauteous.
Okay.
So Trevor, tell us what you just did. Tell us some stuff about what you were thinking there.
So the reason, guys, probably some guys are looking at that thinking, well, why did you come in so light to the top like that? I always come in light because I found just myself through time when I'm looking at the log, if I think I should enter here, I'll come up an inch and then I'll go all the way through the cut because a lot of the time you'll come in too deep and then there's no going back from that, right? You can't cut, it's that whole measure once, cut twice scenario. It just doesn't work out.
Measure twice, cut once?
No, backwards
that one.
way. Yeah,
that one.
That one right there, yeah. So coming in a little lighter is always better because you can always make another cut. And that just gives you a starting point. So you can see where the start and finish is on your log, just in case your eye is not telling you exactly what you think it's telling you. So I'm just gonna get rid of that slab.
All right, perfect. Do you need my help?
No, I think I can handle this one, buddy. I think I can handle this one.
I don't know. Sometimes you can't, so.
There we go.
So why don't we talk a little bit about the heart of the tree? Because I know we had kind of a demonstration that we were gonna show, but
yeah.
Explain to people what the heart of the tree is, why you want that as level as possible.
So I brought my water bottle out for this.
Maybe if I grab this, just give me, I'm gonna grab this camera.
Well, check this out.
Hold on.
Give
me the camera.
Really? I don't know who to look at.
Okay, guys.
Am I you?
I have a camera in my hand.
Okay.
I've just stolen it. So we're gonna try this, okay?
So if this is the tree, and of course the tree has a center, and he grows right through the middle, right?
Yeah.
So when he lays on the mill, it won't lay like that. It's gonna lay like this. So of course, if you try and make a cut, you're gonna come crossways on this thing, right?
Yep.
You need to jack up that little end so you can cut through the middle. Because what happens is when you cross cut the grain, it just gives you bad results. In the beginning, everything looks the same. But eventually when that wood dries, it cups and warps and does all kinds of crazy things because you didn't cut it properly in the beginning. So a lot of guys still aren't totally clear as to what the toe boards are for, and that's what they do, is they make that log, those first two cuts come up level so you can set up your cut, drop them back to the bottom, and then you can keep going.
Can we show people what the toe boards are?
Yeah, so now we'll do it. I'll just lift it up and down a little bit.
I apologize if I'm making anyone sick at home. So just as Trevor explained, I'll give this camera back, guys. But just as Trevor explained, that toe board is basically
so I think
just leveling that log out.
You know, and you can see how you can adjust it either ways. And then they have rollers on the top of them too, guys. So, because a lot of the time when you put that log on this deck, it's never sitting quite where you want on the bunks. So you got to shift it left or shift it right. You know, even if it's only a couple inches, it can make a big, big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it gives you just better results, like you were saying.
Yeah, it just turns everything out, you know, in the end. So you're spending a lot of time knocking the tree down, dragging it to the mill, cutting it. You really want to get the best results you can get from what you're doing because there's a lot of effort involved.
Okay.
You getting questions already?
Yeah, I am. This is amazing. So John on Facebook just wants to know roughly what this model, what the cost of this model is. This one as it is.
You can probably pull that out of the hip quicker than I can.
I can?
I think so.
Well, yeah, I mean, roughly, it really, I can give you the price of this model with every hydraulic feature. The problem with that is not every time does every feature work for you. Not every time do you need every feature. So the price is really dependent on what you want to do because that's pretty much what we're known for, is the fact that these are customizable modular systems. We're the only one like that on the market. You can add or take away whatever it is that you want.
We are. Yeah.
So for this model, you're looking roughly around 25.
That's my number. That's where I start with, guys. And that's probably a high number, guys. Right?
Yeah.
You got to put every single little thing that we have on there to get there.
Yeah.
So you can certainly start, you know, 20 is a good number. You can get a hydraulic powered machine for in 20 with some of the other options. You know, a lot of guys won't take the power saw head, right? They just want the hydraulic handling because they don't mind pushing the saw.
Exactly.
So,
you don't some guys don't necessarily want the set works. You want just the power feed and power saw head, which is going to knock some price off. So, and we're going to talk about that set works too. So please stay tuned. Continue to watch us because we're going to talk about that set works. We're going to get some up close in there action with you adjusting and making your measurements and everything.
Yeah.
But I do have another question from Van Gray, who was wondering, what are the benefits of the HD versus our other mills? Why would someone want to start out with the HD36 versus your other models?
A couple of solid reasons there. I mean, it's by far the most expandable chassis that we have.
Yep.
So the HD36 can start, you can start just as a ground level machine, guys, and you know, work with it on the ground, and you can get into that for less than 9,000, right around 8,000. And then you can build the whole machine up from there. So you can get your feet wet, learn what you're doing, get the base machine, set it up on some bunks, still do a ton of work, get some results, get some stuff up if you want it built, and then add to it. This is the only chassis that we build that's capable of hydraulic functions.
Yeah.
The smaller machines won't take any of the power options. They have a ton of accessories available, like you can still make things easier for yourself, but you can't put power to them. So the big advantage to the HD36, besides the size that it's capable of, is you can get all the power options for it.
That's probably the only thing that I would say is, with our mills, that's the only time you really need to look into the future and go, what am I gonna need or what do I want down the road? If hydraulics is something you wanna get to down the road, then start with this machine. It doesn't have to be hydraulics right off the bat. You can build your way towards that, like you were saying.
Yeah, and I don't even know if you have to think hydraulics necessarily, but if you think, okay, going forwards, I know I'm gonna need to make this a little lighter on myself. I gotta make this easier because everybody has different reasons.
Yeah.
This is the machine that'll allow you to do that. You know, instead of buying a smaller mill and then 2 years later outgrowing it, because it happens pretty quick with your learning curve, and then you go, oh, I should have got that bigger machine. I think some guys are maybe a little intimidated because it's a bigger machine and they think the smaller one's easy to run. They both run the same. It doesn't matter what the size is. So learning how to run this one versus learning how to run the small one, it's the exact same thing. It's the exact same learning curve. It's no harder, it's no easier, it's the same.
Those are some great tips. Thank you for those, Trev. And I just have to say, you look fantastic in orange.
Thanks, buddy. So do you.
Oh,
I'm just going to share the compliments.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just reiterate.
Next time we do this, I would like another couple inches on that, though.
Okay. We're going to talk. Okay, fine. You know,
right.
I cut it off, though.
I know.
It was longer.
I was disappointed when
I'm
you did
sorry, but it's getting warmer out, so it gets sweaty under there, and it's gross sometimes.
That's all right.
And I don't like to hear you have food in your beard every time I eat. Anyway, why don't I'm going to get the camera. Is that cool if I get the camera from you guys again? I'm going to get the camera again. Why don't we talk about set work so you can show some depth?
Yeah, let's do that. I'm
going
to pretend we're making a cut because we can hear better, and we can still show this, I think.
Okay.
So
hopefully this works.
So we're going to go back to where we finished.
Okay. Look at that, staying in one spot.
Okay.
And this is happening.
So we ended here. I should have checked this. I didn't, but.
Okay, so let me just get in on this panel so they can see.
Yeah. So take a look. So you can see. Can you go on the one there? Forget about the number that's moving. But you see how it says cut 1? Can you see that, D-Rick? Can you get on that?
Yeah.
Okay, so it says cut 1 inch right now. So we're at the end of our cut. All right, we just finished it. Oh, let me go back here. We just finished our cut, so we're sitting there, all right? Yep. So what we got to do is we got to mark it. And when we mark it, what it does is it lifts the saw head up a ½ an inch. So then when you bring it back, you don't have to worry about it clipping the log.
So when you did the mark from the pendant, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm doing everything from here.
Okay, so show us the pendant and show us how you marked it.
Okay, so there's another button on here. This is the same as our regular control pendant, guys.
Yep.
It's just, this one has another switch on the bottom that lets you mark and set. So mark is what lets you say, I'm done my cut. Mark, so it remembers where you were, lifts the blade up a ½ an inch, and then you can bring it back. And now we've told this we want to cut 1 inch boards, so we hit set, and it's automatically going to bring us down 1 inch. So now we're ready to make our next cut, and we're at that 1 inch thickness.
I totally missed that. I shouldn't be a camera operator.
No.
Way too much going on here.
That's okay. But that's how that works.
For those of you who didn't see that, because I stole a camera here, those of you who didn't see that, when he hit set, the saw head automatically went down.
Yeah.
1 inch.
Should we do it again?
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna just do a mock cut because it's quieter and we can hear what each other's talking about here. All right, so we're gonna just say we're cutting, right? Make some cutting. Okay.
That's
so we're gonna go really fast. I wouldn't normally go through there this fast, but we're not really cutting.
That was the
23 could do it if you really made it do it. Okay, so we'll come back down.
Hit
we'll come back. So
mark.
normally you'd clip the log probably. So we'll hit mark. It brings us up, so we're not going to touch anything. Okay,
bring it back.
Remembers where we were, because that's what the computer's for. It's doing all of this for us.
Now you're going to hit set when you get to the end of your log.
Yeah. So we've told it we want 1 inch boards, and we can change this, right, guys? And I can change that now. I don't think it's going to do anything. So you can see there's a ½ inch. There's 3/4 of an inch. 1 inch is what we were on. 1 1/4, 1 1/2. These are all different settings. This is all preset. You can change these to custom numbers if you're doing something that you need to do that.
Okay.
So we'll go back to the 1 inch mark. So now we say, okay, we want to make our next cut.
Yeah.
We just hit set, and it'll come down 1 inch, and then off we go. We'll make our next
Amazing.
cut. So instead of trying to do it on your scale and just doing it by eye, and part of the big
I'm leaving.
discussion I have with some guys is that there is a bit of a learning curve on figuring out where to put your depth of cut line on your scale. So
Yeah.
some guys will, and this is just a matter of preference, and this is something that you just kind of have to train yourself when you're cutting is, am I going to land underneath my mark, in which case you got to calibrate your mill there, or am I going to land on top of my mark and calibrate there? Whichever way you do it, you just have to be consistent. You just got to make sure you're constantly on top or you're constantly on the bottom, because it will reflect in your cut. You will see it. You're going to be talking an 1/8 maybe.
Yeah.
So
But with the set works, it's automatically calibrating it for you.
that's what it's doing. You don't have to think about that. It's going to do it for you.
So just before we move on, we have a question from Mark on YouTube. So he wants to know what the benefits of the HD36 are over a cantilever setup.
Okay, so that question really is why a 4-post carriage versus a single side carriage?
Yeah.
The obvious one is structure. We feel that a
Rigidity.
4-post carriage is much more stable and offers you a lot more strength and more reliability in your cut. I personally feel that a 4-post carriage is long-term a much better machine, because cantilevered systems, to me, no matter what, and it doesn't matter how you build them, when you've got one solid arm and you've got weight hanging way out here, there's no way it has to pull on it. So
Gravity.
yeah, it's just, there's just no way around it. And there's a lot of vibration and stuff going on with sawmills. So it has to keep getting adjusted, keep getting adjusted, keep getting adjusted. Well, guess what? Sooner or later, you run out of adjustment. And you can probably fix that, and I'm sure that there's lots of things that you can get to do that, but I bet you there's a bit of a process involved to bring it back. That doesn't happen with this style of design. It's still going to wear, things are still going to change, but guess what? It all happens evenly in increments, and you can just recalibrate to match everything. It's not tipping, it just might be adjusting a little bit up and down. You know, maybe the cables change a little bit, maybe the Delrin blocks wear a little bit, but it's all happening at an even amount.
Yeah.
So that's one of the
more
big,
rigid and sturdy.
yeah, so that's one of my big loves about the 4-post carriage.
Yeah.
And when I was in the beginning looking at all the different styles of machines, that's just kind of something that my mechanical brain recognized.
Yeah. Well, and you can see how heavy duty these are.
Yeah, these
Super
are
solid frames.
Yeah, any of you guys that are ever out at a show, if you get your chance to grab a sawmill, grab a hold of the saw head and give it a pull like this, and you're gonna see who's as solid and whose isn't. There's proof in the pudding. Like, there's no way around it.
I love
You grab a
pudding.
hold of our sawmill, you'll know, and go grab a hold of a different sawmill, you'll also know. So there's, hopefully that answers that question, I think.
I like the reference to pudding. It is
Pudding.
lunchtime.
Yeah, you said you were hungry.
That's why I ate my sandwich at 10 a.m. Anyway, back on topic. Why don't you talk about, because you do something really cool with your levers.
Oh, the levers, yeah, let's
Yeah.
talk about the levers. So I bend these guys. They don't come out of the door like this. And this is something I learned way back. My dad's an equipment operator, and I've been around machines a fair bit. And most operators that you find at a machine, they've got everything. If you look at their levers, they're all set up kind of custom. And the reason for that is they don't have to stare at the pictures of the controls to find out what lever they need to grab. Because sooner or later, it just becomes motor memory. You know, oh, this one's that, this one's this. So my hands, so when I'm cutting, I'm not constantly staring at this going, what does this do, what does that do? I know that this is my toe boards. I know that this is my turner. I know this is my clamp. I know this is my loader. So don't be afraid to get a little bit custom. If you have one of these, or if you're gonna purchase one of these, it really helps out going through the day, because all of these little thoughts,
Yeah.
if you can put them aside, it just lets you concentrate on what you're trying to do.
And allows you to put out more board feet.
Yeah, you're not constant, you know, all of these moments count when you're all day long.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Another thing we wanted to kind of talk about and touch base on is our actual power pack systems for the HD.
Yeah.
So the HD36 hydraulic mill comes with a couple power pack options. Right now we have the horsepower, the 5 horsepower Honda option on there.
Yeah.
So why don't you talk about the auxiliary power pack, the Honda 5 horsepower power pack, the differences, why you maybe prefer one over the other, where they basically are meant for, like what
and why.
What and why.
I like both systems, guys. They both do the same job.
Yeah.
The difference is the integrated system. It's a 12-volt system, same pump, same manifold, everything's the same, other than it's a different power source to run the pump. So you're using a 12-volt motor to run the pump, which is great, works very well. If you're indoors, and say you've got the 15-horse 220 or something on here, the electric motor, excellent setup. Outside, however, 12-volt systems, a couple of years, 3 years down the road, not that it's going to fail on you, but it is going to require maintenance. There's no way around it. So that's one thing. This doesn't have that.
Yep.
This is just a 5-horse Honda. It works every time. I've never had it not work. It's just very, very reliable. Super easy to run, no problems. The second thing that I like is it's very good in terms of redundancy. So let's just say this has switches on it. You've been cutting all day, you're tired, you're gonna, okay, I'm all done, you go into the house. You leave this on, that's dead in the morning. So you can pull start it, right?
Yep.
Even with the dead battery, it'll still pull start. If you have the integrated system, guess what? That pump won't run if it's got a dead battery.
Yeah.
So this comes off when you have the integrated system. A pulley goes on and an alternator goes here. It immediately goes to work trying to charge the battery, and the hydraulics will run. They'll work slow, but they'll run. But now you're pulling a whole bunch of power out of this motor just to charge that battery. Sooner or later it'll come back to life and everything's going to level out. But if you got 2 or 3 guys there and they're getting ready to help you do a job, not very convenient. So I'm a big fan of this Honda because it's just very, very reliable. Works doesn't matter if it's raining, doesn't matter. It doesn't care. It just works.
Yeah.
So that's my love for it.
Is there any other hydraulic features you want to talk about, Trev? While we're waiting for some more questions to come in, just think about it for a second, guys. Thank you again. I just want to take this moment to thank you for tuning in. Thank you for coming on through Instagram. Thank you for coming on through YouTube and Facebook. That's amazing, guys. We really appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy schedules to join us, learn a little bit about the mills and see it. Please keep those questions coming in. That's why we do these. We want to help you guys out and give you some knowledge and go from there. So
I got one, and I think you'll probably like this one because you get asked this too, I think, a fair bit.
Yeah.
What accessory do I buy next?
Yes.
So I've got a manual HD. I want to upgrade to hydraulics. I can't get them all because I'm just not ready to do that.
Yep.
Which one do I get? And my answer is the clamp. You need the clamp. So I want you to have the turner and the clamp, but if you have to get any one option, you buy the clamp. And the reason why is because that dog, and I should probably show it, you can still turn that raw bark edge with the dog. So maybe I'll flip that here and I'll just show that real quick. There.
Yeah.
So that's what the turner's for, is to work on that bark edge, but the turner will still work, or the clamp will still work to turn a raw log.
Yeah.
So it can still take a lot of work out of the equation for a guy without having that extra accessory. I'm not saying don't get it, you're gonna need it eventually, but if you had to start with one, it does an awful lot of work for you.
Well, and the thing is, I don't think people realize this, but if you want to go with the log turner, you have to have the clamps just because of the torque that's being put on those manual log rests.
Thank you, and that's kind of where I was going with that, is a lot of guys think, oh, I can just put the turner on and keep my manual rests. Yes, you can, but I can almost promise that that turner will bend those manual rests because it's an animal, it's strong.
Yeah.
So that, I think, is the better way to go because you get your clamp, you can still turn, does a pretty good job.
We had a question from Jamie on Facebook, wants to know can you switch easily between power feed and manual feed?
No, I'm not going to say it's easy.
Okay.
Can it be done? Yes.
So really, it can be done. The only time you would want to switch is if you're upgrading, I think, and you're going from manual feed to power feed and leaving it that way.
Yeah.
If you want to rotate back and forth and kind of switch back and forth, which I don't know when you would want to do that.
I don't think you would.
You're going to notice very quickly the first time you do it, you probably don't want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's not a, I mean, I could coach somebody through how to do it, but it's not something I would recommend you do on a normal basis by any means. Yeah. There's guys out there that have specific reasons. I know why they do it, but I wouldn't recommend doing it. Okay. Either be manual or be power.
Yeah.
Kind of pick. Better way to go.
But just be.
Just be.
Just be.
You know what? Just be happy. Just
don't
be
worry.
Happy.
Be happy.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk? Is there any more hydraulic features you want to talk about a little bit?
I mean, we touched on the toe boards, we touched on the clamp, the turner, we talked about the manifolds, we talked about the motors. We haven't really shown anybody the loaders. This is the first time we had the loader on.
That's true, actually. Why don't you talk about, so these are the loaders, guys. We have them on the side of the mill.
Yeah.
Obviously for loading the log. Why don't
Yeah.
you touch base a little bit on those, Trav?
So this is a game changer for most guys, because these logs right here, you're not picking up, and they're tough to roll up a little set of ramps even with another set of hands, and it's dangerous. You get halfway up, well, there's a set of ramps over there. You get halfway up one of those ramps and somebody slips, you're asking for a problem.
Yeah.
So this is a very, very nice feature. It lets you get a big heavy log up on the deck without any issue at all. I haven't had any problems with them. They work fantastic. Yeah, I like it. So, and you don't have to try and lift anything. You don't have to buy a tractor, because that's the other thing. Like, there's a whole bunch of tools that go along with a sawmill that maybe you don't necessarily have in the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, tractors one. Maybe you're hauling logs with your quad. Well, that's fine. You can get them to the mill. How do you get them up on the deck? You know, this is the fix.
Yep.
So yeah, it does a really, really good job.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Trevor, why would someone, well, let's talk about the differences. So what's the difference, the main differences between that guy back there, the LM29 with the log on it,
Yeah.
and this HD guy?
Weight, size, capability. This machine goes right from high-end homeowner into light commercial. So lots of guys across the country, this is capable of making a living and supporting them. That's how, that's the duty level of this machine. The 29, however capable it is, and there's still guys doing it with the 29, it's just a little smaller, it's a little bit lighter. It just, things are a little bit, you know, if you start to push out towards its max, stuff gets a little bit harder to work with. It's got a smaller dogging system, a lighter rest system. So again, that's qualifying in the very, very beginning. And I think that's where we do a really good job with our folks when they call. We really try and help qualify them to their mill. Yeah. You know, I've talked to so many guys that they phone and they're like, oh, I want an MN26. And that's fine. And then you say, okay, how big a log do you plan on working with? And they're like, oh, you know, 18s or 20s. Not really the right mill. It'll do it. Not really the right mill.
Yeah.
So we kind of help qualify you to that in the beginning. So you're not just kind of shooting in the dark, ending up in that 2-year or 1-year position where you go, oh, I should have got that bigger machine.
Yeah.
So it's just all about what you're going to do.
Yeah.
What's the right machine for you?
Yep.
You know, if you're a weekend warrior, you're probably going to use your mill half a dozen times a year at your cottage. Smaller machine's probably perfect. A little bit lighter, a little easier to put away, easier to manage yourself because it's smaller, it's lighter, all these things, right?
Yeah.
But if you're the guy that's going to be like, yeah, I'm going to probably be cutting 2-3 weekends all summer. I got friends coming over to help me. We got a project we got to get done. You know, depending on the size of what you're doing, you probably want to look at the bigger machine.
You are just a plethora of knowledge.
A plethora. You got the words
going,
you
buddy. Love that word,
It's
eh?
awesome.
It's my favorite word. Why don't we go over and show them the LM29?
Yeah.
Can I steal the camera again? I'm good? Sweet.
Are we good? We're working the camera people today.
We are.
It's awesome.
I've joined every crew on this set now. So we're going to show you the LM29. T-Rev's gonna do a cut on it and talk a little bit about it, okay?
Okay, so let's talk, before we cut, let's talk a bit about the differences between, actually, it's perfect because this one's set up. It's not set up for cutting, but we can still show the differences. Come on over here with that, whatever you got in your hands there.
This is difficult, walking and shooting and...
You can, is that like chewing gum and patting your...
I'm not a good
rubbing
multitasker,
your tummy and patting your head, all that? Okay, so this is the dog system on the manual HD36.
Okay, let me get in there.
Okay,
let me get in on this.
Yeah, so you can see it's a good heavy backrest. It's got a roller on the top of it, and we use a big heavy cam dog on here. So when you get into the log, you can really spike into it, right? So This is a good big heavy system. But let's go over to the LM29. So that's what comes on the HD, bigger, heavier. This is what's on the LM, which is great for the size that it's capable of doing, but it's a totally different type of dog. So this uses a screw dog instead of a cam dog. So rather than it just pinning itself in there, you actually have to shove it against the log. Let's do it where I had it right there. And then clamp it in there like that, right?
Yep.
And then can you see?
I can come around. That's the brilliance of this camera.
Yeah, so come around and you can see that the posts aren't as heavy as the HD, which is again fine for what this is and the size that it's capable of, but it's just not as robust as the bigger machine, that's all.
Okay.
All right, are we ready to cut?
I have no idea what's going on here.
Okay, we're gonna cut.
We're gonna cut. I'm gonna get out of the way of dust. Oh, geez.
Yeah, you probably want to come to this side.
Yeah. What is happening? I pushed a weird button. That's a beautiful cut, man.
Now, you know what, and that's something we can kind of touch on. The LM29, this has the 16 on it. I'll put it in terms of cutting, 18 to up to an 18-inch log. This thing will cut just as hard. The LM29 will cut just as hard as the HD36 does. So it's a really powerful mill when it has the 16. It works well with the 14 also, but the 16 really brings it to life.
Yeah. And the 16's electric start on it too.
And yeah, there's other benefits. You get the electric start, and it's like externally oil cooled, and so yeah. But I mean, it cut that like it didn't even think about cutting that.
Awesome. Well, anything else you can tell us about the LM29, Trev?
Still has an adjustable guide on it. Doesn't come standard with the ceramics like the HD does. So that's something guys can look at or can ask us about or call in, and we can explain the big differences. We can actually probably show them if you go close up on a blade guide roller. And then we can show them the blade guides on the HD. So this has a roller in it, right? You can see it running across the blade there.
Yep.
And then the HD uses a block with 3 ceramics in it to actually trap the blade. Both systems work.
I can actually show them on this one.
Yeah, you can show them on that one. I went back and forth for a long time between the two, not sure which one I actually felt was better. I do now think that the ceramic guides are a better, you get more control.
Yeah.
You get more control. It traps
your
the
blade's
blade.
supported on 3 sides as opposed to 2 or 1.
Yeah, there's no doubt that putting a block in there is a better way to go. Yeah, so you can see, I'm gonna stick my fingers in here. There's a ceramic on the top, a ceramic on the bottom, and then there's a square one that you can't see in the back and behind that it pushes against.
Yeah. So I do have a few more questions coming in. So because I can't multitask, I'm gonna do...
Should I take that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take that.
Well, you got to answer the question. So can you answer and use that?
I'm just going to point
Good
at you.
luck.
Hey, look at okay,
That
go.
thing is weird.
Go.
All right. So I have a few more questions. So Joy on Facebook wants to know, Trevor, how much fuel do you go through per hour on average?
Here, I'm going to give this back. I'm not good at this.
Yeah.
That is not my
The
calling in
camera
life.
crew
That
is
not Trev's
very
calling in
nervous
life.
right now.
So
Okay.
fuel consumption on the machines is really dependent on who's running it and what you're cutting.
Okay.
Myself personally, in terms of fuel consumption, this would be on the HD, on the 23 horse.
Yep.
I can burn 5 gallons a day. That would be maybe a little heavy, but that's probably a good round number, is 5 gallons. That's a whole day of cutting, and for a whole day for me would be from between 9 and 3 o'clock.
Yeah, you're pretty...
So, but it all depends, like if you're cutting, so in that equation, and I don't mean to labor on this thought, but are you cutting by yourself or are you cutting with someone helping you? Because if someone's helping you, you're in the cut an awful lot more. The more you're in the cut, the more fuel you're gonna burn.
Yeah.
If you're cutting by yourself, the machine's idling an awful lot more and it's not using near as much gas. So,
Yep.
you know, it really, really depends. On the low side, 2, you know, like my dad, if my dad was cutting all day, I wouldn't expect him to burn more than 2 gallons of gas because he can't move fast enough.
Yeah.
You know, it's just...
I feel like you just insulted your dad.
No, I love my dad. He's just, you know, he's 87 and he can only go so fast. So,
Okay.
but he's still doing it. So that's actually a bit of a compliment. Actually,
yes,
now that
that's
we
like,
say that,
okay,
right?
yes, you complimented your father.
There you
That's
go.
good.
There you go.
Carrie Pitcher on Facebook wants to know about the debarker. When would you recommend that attachment?
The debarker is a tricky attachment and it really needs to be placed in the proper usage for it to pay off. It's a $3,000 piece.
Yeah.
And this completely goes back to the operator. So you need a very diligent operator. You need somebody who's on top of their machine daily. It's just like your guides. Debarkers do not stay aligned all the time. You can't just set it up and think that it's going to do its job. Every day you're going to have to correct it and set it because it gets banged and bumped. It's always bouncing in and off the log.
Yeah.
So I like guys to have debarkers, but it has to be the right guy. It's the same as the SetWorks panel. Like that's not for everybody. You know, like we were saying, some guys just want the manual up and down. They don't need all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Myself, personally, I've never used a debarker a whole bunch because I got trained just to put the dirty side of the log to the outside of my cut in the beginning, and I just do it automatically, so it doesn't change my blade life too much. And going back to the debarker, that's the whole point of the debarker, is to increase your blade life. It's the only reason for a debarker.
Yep.
So I think if you're going to be the operator, if you're paying somebody to run your machine, maybe not the best way to go. You might be better off just to buy blades and let them cut, because sometimes they're not going to treat it the same as you would treat it because it's not yours, right?
Well, and if it comes out of a line, they just might not pay more attention to that, so it's not doing its job anyway.
Yeah, like if it's not perfectly in front of the blade, there's no point in it being there.
Yeah.
Right? So I like the tool, but it's got to be with the right set of hands on it.
Now, Nicholas on Facebook, thank you for that answer, by the way, because that clarifies a lot. But Nicholas on Facebook wants to know if there are different clamping systems for the LM29.
There is not.
Cam dog, we can talk about the upgraded cam.
Yeah, we have a cam dog available for it, and I think most guys that own it, I think 99% of the time they go out of the door with the cam dog.
It's $46, so it's not a crazy attachment.
Yeah, and it's worth every penny, every single penny.
When would you use the cam dog versus screw dog?
Well, the screw dog, to me, the screw dog is for all your bark edges. And as soon as I lose, well, depending on the size, but 90% of the time, as soon as I lose my bark and I got square corners, not half rounded or waned boards still to come off, the cam dog goes in, because you got clean lumber to pin it to, right?
Yep.
Really, kind of the trick to that is that the sooner you can get to the point that you can drop all your stuff to the bottom, the better. Because as a sawyer or anybody that's cutting, you know, the first thing you do before you're making a cut, you're eyeballing both sides. Am I going to hit it? Am I going to hit it? Am I going to hit it? Because your rests are up and your dogs are up.
Yep.
So as soon as you get square, bam, right down to the bottom. I'm below an inch. I'm not going to hit nothing, which is the beauty of the cam dog, because you can just pin it down at like 7/8.
Yep.
And just cut away, and you don't got to worry about clipping any dog rests or wheel caps, or because everybody does. Doesn't matter. It happens.
Is there anything you don't know?
No.
I look at you and I'm just like, you're just so knowledgeable.
You know what? That's why I like doing this with you. That's why you're my partner.
All right. Well, let's stop with the gushy stuff here.
All right.
Let's move on. We have, besides blade guide attachments / upgrades, what are some other attachments available for the LM29?
Well, the LM29 still has a full log loader package on it. And you know, we don't have one out here to show, which is too bad. We probably, next time we will. But the LM29, you can still get manual. These are the manual ramps, which is the same for this machine as it is for the LM29.
With the log loader roller.
Actually, here it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was on there.
It is on there.
Okay, so this is a fantastic attachment.
Do you want me to hold that?
No, I got it. It just looks awkward to me, but it's not. Okay, so when you got this on here, let's take the handle off so I don't hit myself with it. Let me put this here. We'll put this on. And this is really, really cool thing to have when you got your machine. So yes, it'll load the log. You cable the log, you crank the handle, and you bring it up onto the deck. That's pretty self-explanatory. But the beauty to this is the same hook that's on the end of a cant hook. So if you got a big log, and we're using this, but this could be on the 29, doesn't matter which machine you got. You come around the log and you hook this on there, right? Now when you start cranking this just wants to pull like this, because this is lifting.
Yep.
And it just rolls the log. So no, you don't have a power attachment, but you still have a mechanical attachment to take all of that work off. So you can just stand here and crank that around.
If you're slinging logs all day, I don't think people realize how much it wears on you.
Oh.
Within a couple hours of rolling a log a couple times and throwing another log on.
And the trick is, like when you're working by yourself and you make that first cut, and you got to bring it around so that it's flush on these rests. Holding it flush on the rests and pinning the dog into it so it's sitting at a proper 90 to your blade, it's not a simple equation. Like if you stopped on the side of the road and watched a guy working on his mill by himself, he's going to be up over top, he's going to be up around it, he's going to be straddling it, he's going to be looking like he's doing something he shouldn't be doing to it. So he's got it, dogged. Right? No, it's true.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
I've been up and around and over, like, it's crazy. And there's a couple of things to that. And that's what you have to do to get it just right. But if you have this, you just bring it around, pin it, undo it, and then keep cutting. So I'm a big fan of this on any of the manual machines.
Yeah.
So even if you're going to go hydraulic, I think in the beginning, get this.
Yeah.
Big game changer.
Here's a question about blades. Scott Wilcutt wants to know, what are the blade differences and what would be recommended for like a Western Redcedar or an Alder?
Well, Cedar wants a 7/8 pitch for sure. And then you could play around with the hook angles a little bit. 7 or 10 will do a really good job in the Cedar. I'm a bigger fan actually of the 10 in Cedar. I know I preach the 7 all day long, but if I had my choice, I'd probably be running 10.
We have about 4 different blade pitches. Well, we have the bimetal blade, which I'm counting as one.
Yeah.
But explain kind of the different pitches, different degrees.
So pitch,
what they're for.
Pitch, guys, pitch describes how much distance there is between the teeth. So you know, 7/8 or 3/4 or 15/16 or 1 inch. So when someone says pitch, that's how much distance there is between tip of the tooth and tip of the tooth, okay? Now when we say hook angle or degrees, that tells you where the tooth is. So 10 might look like this, 7 is gonna look more like that. 4 almost stands that baby straight up and down. So that's how that whole thing works. And then depending on what you're cutting, all of these different numbers and ratios make a big difference in the grain of these woods.
Yeah.
You know, because hardwood, tight grain, cedar, much looser. So you kind of have to, you know, we've got some general rules and everybody does, but until you start cutting, you kind of make up your own mind a bit.
Yeah.
Is that good?
That's great.
Good. Okay.
Great job.
Good.
Let me just take a moment, guys. Thank you again so much. I mean, we have tons of questions. We're trying to get to them all. It's been great being able to show you the mills and show you them running. If we don't get to your question, guys, please send them in because our marketing team is looking at these questions and we will still answer them after the live feed.
Yeah.
So don't hesitate to send questions in because you don't think we're going to get to it. We're trying our best to answer them live on air, but they will get answered regardless of whether we're live or not. So continue to blast us with them.
Yeah.
We're going to get through as many of them as possible. So thanks for tuning in and sending them. Basically, I have a few more to ask you. So Ragnar on Facebook wants to know, what is the cutting difference between the manual and hydraulic feed in the end of the day board footage? It's a tough question, board feed.
It is. So I don't
I try and avoid this question all the time.
So it all depends on how ambitious the sawyer is.
Yeah.
So if you gave me this mill and you had that mill, so manual HD, hydraulic HD, and you had a guy tailing and I had a guy tailing,
we are not going to have the same board output.
Well, no, hang on. Up until noon hour, I bet you I can cut the same amount that you can. But after lunch,
you're giving me
I'm
way
toast.
too much credit.
I'm toast. I'm toast. I'm tired. I'm tired because you just can't keep it up. That's the beauty with the power, is that you can consistently deliver the same thing because you don't get so tired.
And that's what I try and tell guys is you can't necessarily give a board footage output.
No.
But I can guarantee your consistency with a power feed versus a manual is a lot more, so you can better gauge what your board foot output a day will be.
Board feet should never be used in your decision factor on buying your machine because it is so variant on experience and machine and what you're cutting and the day and the weather and. So, I mean, if you look at Brian's numbers from the shootout, this machine, this exact machine right here, it's cutting like 560 board feet an hour. Nobody can sustain that kind of number. You're just gonna burn out. Whereas I know every day, all day, if I got somebody helping me on that hydraulic HD, I'm gonna push probably 3,000 board feet, no problem. 2x material too. See, this is the thing with board feet. Is somebody talking about 8x8s or are they talking about 2x8s? So creating 3,000 board feet of 2x8s versus creating 3,000 board feet of 8x8s, I'll tell you, I can plow through an awful lot of board feet if I'm cutting 8x8s.
Yeah.
You know, so keep that in mind when you're talking board feet.
Yeah.
It depends.
Pedro on YouTube wants to know if financing is available and what that process is. Pedro.
Off to you, buddy. You got this one nailed. I'm going to let you field this one.
So we do have financing available. The way our financing works is a little different. What we want you guys to do is we want you guys to call in, talk to our sales reps, talk to our people in our building. What we'll do is we'll talk about what your needs are for a mill. We'll get you set up with the perfect mill for you, and then we shoot it off to the financing team. What the financing team is going to do, they're going to go through a pre-approval process with you, just like any of the banks would or anyone looking at giving you a loan or a credit card. They're going to go through that pre-approval process. Once you're pre-approved, they're going to send you your terms. Once you guys agree on terms, we hear back from the financing team and they basically say, yep, they're going with it, everything's done, go ahead with it. They send us the payment, you deal with them as far as the payment terms go, and we ship you your mill. So don't hesitate to bring up and ask us, what's your financing options? I want to finance this mill. We'll work as best we can with you to get you the financing. I mean,
I think too, and just to elaborate on that a little bit.
Yes, please do.
We have a really good financing team that we work with.
Yep.
We don't finance in-house. So that's, maybe we can share that.
Yes.
We work with another team that does the financing for us. They are a great group. They're very reputable. They've been in business a long time. They've financed a lot of our machines over the past few years.
Yep.
And the beauty is we try and make it as simple as possible. So rather than you looking for finance and trying to find it on your own, you phone us, we know what you need, we send it to them for you, and they go, oh, hey, John Smith is looking for finance on an HD36. He needs $12,193. They phone you up and say, hey, John, I'm so-and-so. I want to help you get that financed. So we take a big part of that out of the equation for the customer.
Yes.
Which is, for me, if I was going to go get something, that's what I'd want.
Totally.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, we're getting hand signals.
We're getting hand signals.
Look at,
oh, there's a whirly bird.
that's like the high sign.
Yeah, we're a little confused. So I think that means we have one more hour to go. Oh no,
No.
We're wrapping, guys. We're coming to a quick close.
Does that mean we're
here.
getting coffees? I'd like a double-double.
Yeah, we're coming to a quick close here. I do want one more question. It's a really quick question because you and I talked about it, and I don't think anyone's asked this. Cut length of your log when you're loading it on your mill.
Oh yeah, guys, if you want 8s, make sure you're cutting 8/6. If you want 10s, make sure you're cutting 10/6. Otherwise, they're not going to hit your rests and your toe boards properly. And realistically, when it dries and you got to square up the ends, you need it anyways. So just make sure you're cutting them
a little bit longer.
6 inches longer at least.
All right, guys. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been an amazing day.
Beauty.
Couldn't have asked for better weather. Couldn't have asked for better questions. Guys, we hope to do these more often. We hope to get to all your questions. Keep sending them in. Thank you for taking time out of your schedules to watch us. You guys make this all worthwhile. Feel free to call in. Our 1-800 number is 1-800-567-0404. Ask for Trevor.
Ask for Derek.
Just kidding. No, call in that number again, 1-800-567-0404, guys. Call in, talk to any of our specialists here at the Norwood Global headquarters here.
Yep.
And thank you again, guys. We'll keep you posted on when we're going to do this again. Thank you, Trevor, so much for being here.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys behind the cameras, for letting me steal your camera today and being so amazing and coming out. We really appreciate this, and I think we'll just sign off from Norwood.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.